Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's a great pleasure to be here with you and to have a chance to talk to you for 15 minutes. And then I'm going to open for questions and answers for another 15 minutes. So I'm going to start telling you a story that when I was 12 years old, I really wanted to learn English. But my parents, with 7 small kids, they didn't have the resources to send me to the best English schools in town. So what they did, they met the Mormon missionaries, American elders that came to Brazil, and with those young men, I started learning English. And those young missionaries, they put some bright thoughts in my mind. One of the thoughts that they put was this: Carlos, you're very young, but one day you're going to have a chance to go to the United States to get an education, because success happens when preparation meets an opportunity. But look, my dad was a truck driver. My mom was a seamstress. 7 small kids. In Brazil, how could I think that one day I would have a chance to go to America to have an education? But thanks to the support of those young missionaries, I was at the right time, at the right age, finally accepted at Brigham Young University. I graduated, and after I finished my schooling, I returned back to Brazil. And I was working like Brazilians do. Here in America, you guys work from 9 to 5. In Brazil, we work from 8 to 6, Monday through Friday. And one day, one friend from work asked me this question: Carlos, can you teach some English lessons for us in the evening? And so I started teaching at my home classes for 1 student, 2 students, 3 students. 1 class, 2 classes, 3 classes, up to the moment that I had no more time available to have another student. Then it was a moment of decision. And now, what should I do? Should you open an English school? So I went to talk to my friends and see what they had to say about my plan. So I want you now to imagine, to think for a moment, what do you think that at that time my friends told me? You are right. Everything that you are thinking, in your mind, they said. Just look. They said, Carlos, you're crazy. Don't do that. There's too much competition. Bad economy. And some even said, look, Carlos, you must understand that this thing of language teaching, English lessons, has no bright future. There's no money in teaching. So I really didn't expect such a negative impact from their part. So what do you guys think that I did after hearing all these bad comments? I confess to you that I didn't expect. I went home and I cried. And my friends, what did they do? Ha, 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 ha. I knew that he was going to give up. I knew that he was not going to go far with this plan. I knew that it was not going to work. So many times when you have a plan, when you have some kind of project in mind, and you start talking to your friends, you're going to listen to all of this pessimism, negative comments from their part. Well, time passed by, and today, who is the one that laughs? And what about my friends? Some of my friends cry. And why is it that some of my friends cry? Because maybe, some of them also had some plans, projects, maybe they have some ideals, some dreams, but they were so focused on the imaginary ghosts, on the fears inside each one. They were so scared to give the first step that they never gave themselves a chance for their project to be executed. So now you know how Wizard schools started. Not only Wizard School, but later we made acquisition of other brands in the country, so that in total we created a group with 3,000 schools, generating approximately 45,000 jobs in the country, present in 10 different locations in the world, 10 different countries, servicing approximately 1 million students each year, and with a total annual revenue of approximately 2 billion. And as has been announced before, last year we sold this company to British company Pearson for the amount of $750 million. So many people will say, well, if I had that much money, where would I be at this point, at this time, doing what with my life? So my mission, as I considered, is to be with you, young students, young entrepreneurs, those that will be the leaders of the country, wherever country you come from, and those that will have an impact in your business, whatever business you'll be in, and those that will make a difference in the industry that you represent, whatever industry that is. Well, some people ask me, Carlos, how did you make such a domestic business activity, like teaching a lesson in your home, to become such a large, scalable business throughout the world? So I'm gonna share with you 7 principles, how we did that, and then you're going to have questions and answers for some specifics. First, any person that succeeded, he was able to abandon his past, both on the emotional and on the rational aspects regarding the past mistakes he did. Well, how do you translate this into a simple concept? Question. In your past, and many of you here don't have too big of a past, but in your past and my past, we made mistakes. Do you think that at some point we made bad decisions? We made some bad connections. Somebody took advantage of us. Or maybe we had a big loss. Yes, we did. I found out that people that fail, they are stuck in their past. They do not prosper because they spend all their energy, their capacity, thinking and rethinking about their past mistakes. Those people that succeed, they're able to project themselves, to visualize a new environment, and they seek and they pay the price to get to the point that they're visualized. Because we cannot spend time suffering with the past, because the past has already passed. And it doesn't matter how much you're gonna suffer, you cannot change the past. We can only change our present, and most important of all, our future. Principle number 2, increase your self-esteem. Some people are gonna say, Carlos, what does success have to do with self-esteem? And I'm here today to tell you that it has everything to do. Did you know that poor people have a poor way of thinking? Yes. The poor usually thinks this way. My grandparents were poor. My parents were poor. I was born a poor person. I'm gonna die poor. Are there people in the world that think this way? Yes, there are. And do you know what's gonna happen to these people? They're gonna die poor because they already accepted poverty as a permanent condition in life. Those that succeed, no matter what kind of difficulties, challenges they're facing now, they're able to visualize a new circumstance for themselves, and again, they pay the price to get and to achieve that new status. Principle number 3, nobody ever in any time in history did something great by himself. All those that succeeded, they were able to succeed because they created a network of people that were involved and committed with them, so that what was once an individual dream became a collective dream. So no matter, again, the industry, the business, or the activity that you're involved in, you must be able to bring people to the same objective and goal that you have, so that you can multiply, you can get, you can make your business get scale, whatever activity you develop. Principle number 4, if you are to succeed in whatever activity you develop, you must have a focus on the client. Many people, they concentrate on technology. Many people concentrate on the product. Others on marketing. others on the distribution system. But if you don't have focus on your client, you can develop and you can grow to a certain extent, but you're not going to have a long-term successful business operation. Principle number 5, you must have a very well-defined strategy. And when I say strategy, I believe that there is a cycle of success, that you start with this strategy, you create a plan of action, you execute your plan, and then when you execute your plan, you're going to find out that some things will work and some plans will not work. And then many people say, but the plan was so good and the strategy was so great, why did it not work? Well, not all plans are going to work every time. Some plans will work and some will not. And then you need to make the correction. And when you correct your plan, either you delete completely or you make the adjustments necessary for your plan. And then somebody's going to say, but Carlos, now we return back to the beginning. We return back to the strategy. We didn't return. Do you know why? Because many times the strategy that worked in the past may not work today. And maybe the strategy that's working today might not work in the future. So from time to time, we must have a new strategy for our business to continue to grow and develop. Now, principle number 6 is very important both on a personal and also on a corporation level. More important, the ability for you to make money is your ability to save money. Now, if I ask you, is it easy to earn or is it easier to save the money that we earn? What would you say? Now, let me restate the question. Is it easy to earn money or is it easier to save money? Earn! If we stop this presentation now and we go out on the street, stop 100 people and ask them, do you earn money? Did you earn money? Do you have an income or did you have an income? 100 people will say yes. If we ask the same 100 people, do you save every month? Do you set apart part of your income on a regular basis? From 100 people, how many people are going to say yes? 1, maybe 2, who knows 3? Rarely 5. Very, very difficult to find more than 5 people in 100. So this is the second reason why there is so much poverty in the world. Because most people have not yet understood that part of what you earn does not belong to you. Part of what you earn belongs to creating your wealth. But if you never stop to create your wealth, you're not going to have wealth. And if you don't do this for yourself, nobody is going to do this for you. So now we're going to make a test. And the test is this. We're going to measure your financial stability. Okay? Doesn't take more than 30 seconds. Think for a moment that you're not going to receive any new income. No salary, no wages. Mom and dad is not going to send you new money. You just have to survive with the money that you have accumulated over the years. The question is, how long would you be able to survive? I made this question recently to an audience in Brazil, and one girl from the audience raised her hand and she said, Carlos, I would be able to survive for another 6 hours. So the question is, do we learn how to save in poverty or in wealth? In poverty. Do you know why? Because if we never learn how to save when we are poor, we will always be poor. So, my dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, if there's anybody here tonight that thinks that you are in a state of poverty, you are in the best moment of your life to make a big change in your course and start saving beginning now, at this very moment. So now we're going to see step number 7. Seek your divine origin. And then many people are going to say, Carlos, what does divine origin have to do with prosperity? And I came here to tell you, my friends, that I found out a very important, successful business principle. I found out that those individuals, entrepreneurs, executives that lead a life of faith, they have a greater capacity of organization, of discipline, of focusing on a specific target. They relate better one to another. They're more tolerant. They're more comprehensive in their relationships. They're more able to lead a positive life in contrast to those that have no faith. And look, I'm not talking about religion, because an individual can be a Christian or he can be a Jewish. He can be a Muslim or he can be a Buddhist. As long as the individual has this connection with his divine origin, he has a greater capacity of development and growth, because his capacity surpasses a lot his mental and natural intellectual capacity. I found out that God is the source of wisdom, of knowledge, of inspiration, of new talents, new abilities that the individual by himself is unable to develop. I finish my presentation with this phrase: if you are really after success, believe in yourself, believe in God, believe in the people that are around you, believe in your dreams, and above all, believe in your infinite potential. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thanks a lot for coming. I was curious about the focus on the client kind of perspective that you had. Can you talk about how you focus on the client and how is that different from your competition in terms of why they didn't do what you did? I'm just kind of curious of more examples or situation.
What I believe is that, again, no matter what industry you're in, what kind of business you have, as long as you meet a need from the market, you have a great chance of success. When I started my business, I knew that in Brazil, we had not very good qualified courses to teach either kids or adults how to speak a second language. So I provided a methodology that was possible for students to learn 100 sentences within 1 hour of instruction. So it doesn't matter if he had or had no previous knowledge, within 1 hour, he would pick up and he would master 100 phrases in the methodology using that resource that we offered him. So as long as we had that focus of meeting a need from the customer, we're going to succeed, of course, with all the other elements. But this is fundamental.
Thanks.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Itamar, or in Portuguese, Itamar, and I'm not from Brazil. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I think it's very inspiring. Personally, for me, I feel that I learn a lot more from stories of failure and how the person has been able to convert that failure into success. Could you share with us maybe a story of some sort of failure you faced and how you managed to overcome that?
I heard once Dave Neeleman, founder of JetBlue in America and Azul Airlines company in Brazil. And talking about failure, he said something that I thought that was beautiful. He said, look, in the aviation industry, every day we make mistakes. And you are a witness of that. I am a witness of that. But what we try to do as a company, we try to identify a negative experience that the customer had, and immediately we think, how can we turn that negative experience into a positive experience so that at the end, the customer will have felt better to have gone through the negative experience rather than he had no problem at all. So the moment that we heard this concept from David Neeleman in one of our conventions, we start looking inside the company. How can we make that happen? Yes.
Did you co-found your business with anybody? Who were some of your early team members? How did you select them, and was it successful?
Okay, I had no co-founders. This was a home business. I started teaching those English lessons in my home, and from there developed this multi-million-dollar business.
One theme that we talk about a lot in our generation, it seems, is pursuing a career that you are passionate about. It sounds like this is an opportunity that you stumbled upon and that maybe you didn't necessarily dream of as a young man. What's your advice to those of us who are trying to kind of weigh opportunistic approaches to our career versus these schools of thought that would have us figure out all of our passions and then dedicate our life to that?
Great question. Did you know that only 1/3 of the students that graduate from university, they will remain in the field that they studied? 2/3, they're gonna do something else. And this is what happened to me. I graduated in computer science, technology, computers, and then I went to the industry up to the moment that that friend asked me if I could teach some evening classes. And just like he said, we must have the passion for the business, the activity, the mission that we're gonna follow in our career. But the problem is that many times we ourselves don't know what our passion is. I had no idea whatsoever that my future was gonna be in the language teaching business. I had no idea that I was gonna start a school. I had no idea that I was gonna write the methodology myself. And to be honest with you, when I was 30 years old, I had come to the United States, had returned to my country, had worked here for a year. Before I went back, I had worked 1 year there. Finally, I was fired because there was no identification with all my academic experience and preparation with my career. And what saved my life was those evening classes in my home. So you see, he mentioned you must have an identification of purpose, you must have a passion. But I didn't know I had a passion. I found out later. So you're still very young, so you have plenty of time to make mistakes in your career. But if something happens that goes bad and you don't have a future, bright future ahead of you, you just must continue, All of a sudden, a light will show up in your way.
Time's up.
Time is up. We have the last question, and then we gotta go.
Okay, so my name is Enrique. I'm a sophomore at the college. I am from Brazil. And I have two questions, if you let me ask two questions. The first one is, now that you sold Grupo Multi to Pearson, what are your plans for the next 10 years?
Great question.
And just the second one, because I'm curious. So you have a lot of franchises inside Grupo Multi that they basically do the same thing. So Yazgi, Wizard. So why do you create things that are basically the same?
I just have time to answer the first question. You know that when you make a negotiation like we did, it's not going to go from one day to the other, 1 week after the other. It takes months and months, sometimes years. So we took almost a year to make this negotiation with Pearson. And finally, we signed all the contracts, we got the money was deposited, and my wife and I arrived home, and we still had two young sons at home, 12 and 14 years old. And then we said, let's tell the boys, because you know, some of the negotiations you cannot tell your boys because or else you get home, and then the kid put on the Facebook, Daddy's selling the company. But then finally, after everything had been done and announced, the media was aware, we came home and they called the boys and said, Mom and Dad has something to tell you. Dad sold his company. 12-year-old boy look at dad and says, "Dad, why did you sell your dream?" Emotional, right? So it was one question. And then the other boy, 14 years old, said, "Dad, this means that now you're unemployed?" Yes, that is unemployed. And before you go to bed at night, we call the boys and we say a prayer, family prayer. And then we never forget that prayer. Poor kid said, "Dear God, and please bless Dad, and now he's unemployed." Well, what am I doing after that? We opened 3 new companies. As a matter of fact, we didn't open, we bought. We bought a company in Brazil called Mundo Verde. It's a natural product company. It has 350 stores in the country, pretty much like in America you have Whole Foods. So that's something that takes our time. And beginning of this year, we opened a soccer academy with soccer player Ronaldo. And we are doing franchising with that. We signed a contract in China for opening 30 schools in China. And we are opening a location in Orlando and several in Brazil as well. And we have some other business activities in prepaid cards called Vale Presente. It's the largest operation in the country. We provide cards for federal government social programs like Minha Casa Minha Vida, Construção, all these programs. So the question that many people ask is, what is the motivation to get all these new business activities done? So my final comments for you is this. After a certain level of comfort and financial stability, the entrepreneur does not work for money. Entrepreneur will work for cooperation, for sharing knowledge, sharing experiences, helping other individuals to develop and grow and to make their dreams come true, so that he creates a legacy of success that will live much longer than the individual himself. And this is my expectations to bring as a gift to you, Awaken the Millionaire Within, because I really hope that we have a classroom here full of future millionaires. Thank you very much.